Evet, webinarımızın başından itibaren birçok konuya değindik. Sonlandırırken de geleceği konuşmak istiyoruz. Gelecekle ilgili okyanus ötesinden bir konuğumuz var. IAB Amerika'dan Jeffrey Bustos, IAB Amerika Programmatic Data Center Vice President'ı. Eğer kendisi hazırsa ekrana davet etmek isterim Jeffrey Bustos'u. Hello, Jeffrey.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. It is very nice to see you again. Thank you for joining us, and we are so excited to hear the future of retail media from you. The screen is yours.
Perfect. I will share my screen shortly. I'm excited to be here. First of it was great to see Mimeta and Cridio talk because both of them are in the US. I lead the Retail Media Committee, and they're both avid participants in our committee, where we are working on industry standards for retail media. And I will begin my presentation.
All right, we're excited to hear.
So hi, my name is Jeffrey Bustos. I'm the Vice President of Measurement, Addressability, and Data as of yesterday at the IAB. Today we're going to look at the retail media outlook for next year. I'm first going to start with an overview of retail media. Then I'm going to present the current challenges that exist in retail media. And then I'm going to offer my point of view on what the future trends of retail media will be. So if we look at retail media from a global standpoint, we're seeing that, there's a significant growth opportunity for live stream, and this will play a big role in shoppable media as well as the CTV opportunity for retail media. In addition, younger shoppers are still going in store, but they're looking at the store as more of a way to interact with the brand, try on clothes, and most of them are still doing their shopping online. So we'll see an evolution how retailers are engaging and how they're evolving their stores. In Latin America, we've seen an explosion of e-commerce since the COVID lockdown, and they've definitely accelerated their course there. And then if we were to then look at Europe, very similar trends. In Europe, we're seeing a huge growth in self-checkout. And then even within India, there's been a significant growth in retail media, or just e-commerce as a whole. And, globally, as I mentioned, live stream will become a bigger play. And, brands are, right now working not just to increase in-store traffic, but also to offer that experiential experience. As, the store becomes more of an experience instead of just a place to shop. So kind of narrowing down a bit more, the definition of retail media is expanding. There's a lot of new players entering the space. And it is, one way ask, is retail media the correct name for it? But we won't argue that here. But, we've seen a significant emergence of, retail-owned media, such as Mimeta, Kroger, or Walmart. And then we have, e-commerce owned media. And then we also have the huge growth of aggregated marketplaces such as Cridio or Promote IQ. And we're going to see continuing growth in the aggregated marketplaces, in my opinion. And we're also going to see growth in what many are calling co-op retail media, where I do predict that certain retailers will create partnerships with other retailers and look to enhance their first-party data capabilities. So, retail media obviously offers value for brands. So that where retail media networks can offer more value for the vendor relationship to start is, is really offering insights on products without having to buy media. And I think that that's where the value of retail media is not just a media buy, but it's also the audience insights you can get from the retailer in that partnership as you negotiate your JBP and your shelf space. And, this insights is not just on the audience insights, but also any data. In addition to that, retailers are expanding how they're monetizing their first party data. We're seeing significant partnerships as retailers do partnerships with Snapchat, TikTok, and Roku and Paramount. I do think that these data partnerships will continue to grow next year, especially as the opportunity for on-site retail media is strong, but you're not really creating new customers. The person's already on site or they're in the store already, and you're just competing for that person. Whereas the offsite opportunity really does provide the incremental in customer acquisition growth that brands are looking for. So we're definitely seeing more of those data partnerships with publishers. That's not to say that, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Obviously, retail media is most of it is pretty in its early stages, and there's still a lot of growth, especially in retail media kind of catching up to our current very complex programmatic ad tech industry. So, I think one is first starting with what are the benefits of retail media. So, obviously the retailer relationships, the access to that property on site and in store, obviously the first party sales data, offering that closed loop reporting, and, personalized opportunities to creative. It wasn't, that big of a benefit, but one of the things that I do see next year is that creative is going to play a significantly larger part in retail media as brands try to differentiate themselves within the crowded space, and also as retailers try to differentiate themselves in their offers for brands. And this is where, also the question becomes, where can retail media networks add more value to the vendor relationship? As I mentioned, the ability to offer insights without media is a huge part of it. And then also, the closer link to merchant teams with the retailer, understanding that supply chain can definitely help brands reduce costs. And then also, one of the things is the automation. As I mentioned, retail media is growing rapidly, but, I think that one of the things is really that automation that we've gotten used to in the programmatic landscape today, which again, as I mentioned before, I think that's why the place of the aggregated marketplace is very important. And we'll see more retailers working with aggregated marketplaces as we continue through next year. And, I think one of the biggest challenges here is, is handling the pricing and profitability scenarios. There's not a lot of transparency when it comes to how things are measured on retail media. And there's also the supply chain issue, making sure that the products are viewed online and is available to that person if they're going to go to that store nearby them, and being able to update that quickly online. The attribution, yes, retail media offers close reporting, but there's still the gap in attribution of other media channels playing into that sale. And, the reporting on how e-com performance is distributed as a channel. And then, one of the things we're going to dive into this presentation is the measurement aspect of retail media, and just really understanding how you can get that incremental measurement. And then finally, one of the challenges also is the talent challenge, which is a challenge that is, across all the industry, but, as retailers accelerate their growth into ad tech, they are vying for the same talent that a lot of ad tech companies have. And then they're also bringing, people that either have strong media experience or they have strong retail experience. And there's kind of a gap internally on retail media experience. So that's going to be the thing that, retailers are going to be investing significantly. And then brands are also restructuring how their teams are set up. So we're going to talk about the current challenges facing brands and advertisers today. So at the IAB, we are working with brands, retailers, ad tech companies, and agencies to understand these challenges and create solutions, such as a buyer's guide that we're currently in the final draft of, and we'll have out for member comment in January, looking to publish in March, or the measurement standards that we're going to be start working on in March after we release our buyer's guide. So the first part here is the lack of consistency, between media and human resource, and this is causing a media and human resource strain at both the retailer and agency side. There's difficulty in understanding incremental value in investing in retail media, and there's very limited data in benchmarking, and make it difficult to understand what is influencing the consumer journey. Retail media does offer closer reporting, but measurement's still slow when you think about the current measurement stack that digital advertisers are used to. And fast metrics would allow for fast optimization. And as I mentioned before, this is where the IAB is working with the retailers, brands, and agencies to kind of develop these standards and guides to enable the continuous and healthy growth of retail media. So going to what the measurement standards look to solve, one is consistent metrics. The biggest thing that we need is being able to track, measure, and analyze and optimize again consistent metrics across multiple platforms. Because as it stands today, it is very difficult for brands to be able to analyze cross-retailer performance in a retail media environment. The ability to scale, the ability to scale, the ability to automate, to understand, it is important for retailers to differentiate themselves, but it's also important for retailers to embrace programmatic automation and provide, brands the ability to really easily scale their media. And then the final part is obviously the leading and lagging indicators. Obviously, because of conversion windows and attribution, we need to improve the way attribution data and sharing, and this will improve inventory management and then identify incremental value. And I think that's going to be a big part. Retailers are going to start using their data to help improve the supply chain of brands. Not just understanding the consumer insights is important, not just selling that first-party data and getting that measurement performance, but also helping brands with their supply chain. So when we start here, the first thing here that we look at is consistency starts with definitions. So the first thing here is attribution. And attribution is defined, ad interaction gets credit for a completed sale. So for on-site retail media, typically it's the last ad click with the sale occurring within a 14-day window. This isn't consistent across all retail media. So what we're looking to do is create consistency in saying that, as an example, all retailers need to offer 7, 14, and 30-day attribution windows at either a 1-click or 5 impressions. And this will allow brands to then have more control on how they're measuring attribution on their media, and then also allowing them to look at cross-channel and cross-retailer performance. Viewability is a huge aspect of it because if there's not standard viewability standards, then you can't really measure the visibility of an ad on a page to count as an impression. So as an example, if you have all right, let's say this is an ad. This is a Lego. This is an ad for a car, and if you see the car here, you obviously know it's a car, and it's a viewability, and you can claim credit for this ad for the car because you saw it. But if viewability is 5% and there's no standards in viewability, all of a sudden you're seeing very little of the card. So the question is, should an advertiser pay for an ad that was not viewed? However, we don't think that, there should be 100% viewability. Like, this is fine. You can still see that it's a card. You don't need 100% viewability. So the conversation next year would be, what is the viewability standard that retailers and brands should align on, so that everyone's looking at the same viewability standard, we're counting the same thing as an impression. And once we get attribution and viewability standards in place, then we can start looking at incrementality and really understand a sale that had not occurred without an ad interaction. It really does depend, and there's a lot of factors in place. So we're also going to work with agencies and brands to streamline how they're measuring incrementality. In addition, it's important to understand the KPIs you should measure success. Obviously, it's not just ROAS. ROAS is very important, but retail media is not just a lower funnel activation. Retail media is also a full funnel activation with more dollars going into upper funnel. So it's understanding, what is your goal? What is your main KPI? So here, an example, your goal could either be to gain market share, with your main KPI being top line sales. The other one could be defend share, with your main KPI being market share. Incrementality, new people to the brand, and efficiency, ROAS. So it's really understanding what is your goal and your KPI, and this will help dictate how you should look at the performance and success of your retail media. So this is an example here, and here you have two campaigns. The first one is called the new item launch, and the second one is a seasonal promo. Really here off the bat, you can see that the first campaign spent $250,000 versus 200, and only drove only 5 items for sale. It had a slightly higher CPC. The CPMs are higher. The click-through rate was about the same, but the ROAS here was significantly lower. There was an incremental sales lift was slightly higher, but the incremental ROAS was much lower. However, the percent to new brand buyers was 96% versus 38%. At first glance here, you would just say that the first campaign did terrible and you shouldn't do it again. However, there's a lot of things that are missed if we just look at ROAS performance. One, what was the household penetration versus ROAS? One of the big things here was that this was a new item launched, and it garnered 21 million impressions against this new product launch. In addition, this new product launch was only specific to 5 items versus the 59 items that were measured in the seasonal promo. And then finally, the new item launch was actually able to garner a significant amount of new brand buyers, so that when you think about your customer acquisition costs, it was very successful at, 1, the item launch that increased household penetration, and 2, it actually delivered new brand buyers that you didn't have. So in the long term, this new item launch, once it becomes part of your product mix, it will not only perform on par with your media, but it will also have already brought in new customers. And here, this is why when you're looking at retail media evaluation, there's really the levels of retail media evaluation. You have your media engagement and delivery. You have your shopping actions, and you have your conversions, and then you have your added value. And this is really how you should be looking at retail media. However, even with this view of retail media and performance, it is very important for us to have measurement standards, because if you're not, then you're having to evaluate every single retail media platform on itself, and you're not really able to do that across retail media platforms. You're not able to do this across channels. And one of the biggest things that we're looking to do next year is we're looking to create measurement standards so that we can align on attribution and viewability, And really the point of having that is so that brands and agencies can do two things. One, they can do cross-retailer performance analysis. And two, so that they can have the right data to have outputs into their MMM models, which are crucial for brands and how they're going to allocate their media spend. So what are the kind of my retail media predictions for next year? As I mentioned, we're going to see retail media continue to accelerate partnerships with CTV and other video formats. As I mentioned, we are going to see increased focus on measurement, and the IAB is working on standards of viewability, and attribution. But I think that brands are going to start demanding more measurement standards from the retail media networks, and there will be the expectation for them to catch up to programmatic, especially with the slowing of the global economy and the possible recession. Brands are going to be demanding more first-party data to drive that efficiency. So that's really there. We're going to see closed-loop measurement bring in offline sales attribution and improve that better. So that's going to be really exciting. I think in-store targeting, creative, and measurement will significantly improve next year. And we're going to see so many more activations on that. And this will deliver significant revenue growth for brands and retailers. And within in-store media, I think that's where we're going to see a lot of the really cool tech disruptions. And I think that there's going to be a lot of really interesting emerging technology, like, you upload your grocery list to your retailer, and then when you visit the retailer or your grocery store, they tell you where everything is, in which aisle. And then as you're walking through the aisles, they will show you different promotions for maybe an alternative product. So, this is a really exciting way for you to have that. And then the final part, I think that, creative innovation via DCO will see significant improvement on the shopper experience for both online and in-store. And that is the end of my presentation.
Jeffrey, was fantastic, especially the predictions part of it. I mean, we're so excited to find out what you have come up with, the measurements, and very pleased to involve with the group of your actually now conducting. I mean, it is too nice to hear and to see a media growing this way and to be part of it. We are so excited.
Thank you. Yeah, it's exciting to partner. It's exciting to also kind of talk globally to other retailers. And thank you so much for the introduction to Mehmeta. Kina has been amazing. And also a few of the folks here earlier were part of our group. So it's exciting to have this global conversations.
Yes, we do feel the same. Thank you so much. And we have much more things to do together, I suppose. Yes. And it is the end of our webinar. And thank you so much for joining us and hope to see you. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you too. Bye.